She's my type of chick. She came through, killed the main guy.
She picked up 2 daggers for her dance, and in a flash, stabbed Gul.
Marbanya iskita. Marhaba. Marhaban ya askikwa.
Hey y'all, Solo here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another episode of Make Mythology Monday, an official Arab Heritage Month edition. I know it's end of April, but I didn't forget that April is Heritage Month. You thought I was gonna miss it? I didn't miss it. I know it's nothing, but I'm like, game this. No, I haven't, but I'm getting back on it. Anyways, so if you're new here, hi, my name's Dom. I'm here at the my channel here. I do social political commentary and also do my mainstay segment of Make Mythology Mondays. If you like learning about your favorite stories and also learning how to do your makeup, this is a video. This is a place you should be. This is part of the join the family, and you should just definitely go ahead, like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And today we're going to do a special Arab Heritage Month episode about Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. So sit back, stay tuned, enjoy the show / tutorial. Also, already color corrected and primed my face, and then other products was down below. And then the main Arab owned beauty. So the main Arab owned. So the only Arab owned beauty brand that I have that I know of is Huda Beauty, who I believe she's from Iraq or Iran. I believe Iraq. So I'm going to use a lot of products for this one, and they try to get some Arab realness in this look, but like for darker skin. So if you feeling it, stay tuned and make sure to give this video a like, and check my Instagram for more makeup looks. Okay, let's begin. If you didn't know, April is Arab Heritage Month, and I couldn't really find much about like the origin of why this was decided. I just know that maybe it was an Arab committee that decided that April would be the month for Arab Heritage, and then it was kind of signed into law in 2019, so it's pretty recent, pre-new designation. I think it's just like a new designation they just got on census as well. Being able to put Northeastern, or being able to put Middle Eastern, North Africa. The U.S. during the month of April, we celebrate all the contributions that Arab people have made to society.
Again, and I say Arab people, I mean people who primarily come from the 22 countries in the Middle East and Northern Africa. Story of Alibaba and the 40 Thieves is part of a larger storybook called 1001 Arabian. It's a very well-known, renowned collection of stories from across the Middle East and North Africa to some extent. The majority of these stories were believed to be most of these stories were believed to have been added to this collection during the Islamic Golden Age, and believed to have most of their roots from India, Iraq, Egypt, Persia, Greece, Turkey, and I think a little bit China too, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I'm just throwing in there. Alibaba and Aladdin are two of the most popular stories from the 1001 Arabian Nights storybook, but actually they were believed to be added in later on by a man by the name of André Galland, who said that he learned these stories from a Syrian storyteller named Hannah Diop. So the 1001 Arabian Nights story is a collection of stories that's based under one story as the mainframe. And the mainframe story is believed to have some roots from India and Iran. It is about King Shahrahar, who rules both India and China. He hears of his brother's wife's infidelity and discovers that his own wife has been extremely unfaithful. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o. So he does the completely rational thing of like getting an oracle, going to couples therapy and working it out. Just kidding.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
He actually has her executed. So sweet, you know? You could just like divorce or something, or like banish her from the kingdom, but nope. That man said death. And because King Shahar is the embodiment of psychopathic toxic masculinity, he comes up with a new plan of vetting women, if you can call it that. Even, I mean, it's like, is it vetting if they don't live? The king basically resolves to marry a succession of virgins, and then like after he marries the virgin, you know, they have their little coitus, you know, just getting it on, a little fun time, and then he has them murdered. He has each of his new wives murdered the next day, so you don't have the opportunity to disgrace him, in his words. Which I feel like you could just like, maybe you can just not get married and like maybe just go to a brothel or something. Like be rational and sane, but I guess not. We don't do that here.
And then your homeboy sounds like a real ball of sunshine. I guess we'll never understand why his wife cheated on him. We'll never understand. Doesn't make sense. He just seems so damn nice.
He kind of continues the same pattern, the same disgusting, unethical, sociopathic pattern, until he meets Shahrazad. And she is the vizier's daughter. And honestly, you know, she really does not want this problem. She steps up to the plate. She does end up marrying the king. And on their wedding night, she, you know, we realized, you know, this one, she's kind of brilliant. Because she said, I'm not going out like this. Like, you're not gonna kill me for no reason. I'm not going out like that. Basically, Shahrazad begins to tell a story. She's telling stories to the king. Kind of like good night stories, nighttime stories. So engaged, so impressed, so happy. But she leaves the story on a cliffhanger. So the king can't kill her, or else he will not know how the story ends. And you know, he is committed to
You a smart bitch.
every day that she's telling a story. It ends on a cliffhanger, and she gets to live another day. And again, this continues on for another 1,000 nights. Hence the collection of stories that we have, because Shahrazad is a genius. You took a bad situation, and you made it work for you. I just never can lie and say that I'm not over impressed by this story.
Because I think I tried to run away at least one of those two times. At least one time I tried to run away. At least once. So she's a real one for sticking by him, because I tried to run away. I tried to run away. I'm not strong like her.
Once upon a time, there was a simple, poor woodcutter named Alibaba who led a simple life with his wife, Fatima. One day when he was cutting wood with his donkey, he heard a large stampede of horses and saw some dangerous-looking men. He hid in a tree for a full view of the men and counted 40 of them. Naturally, being scared shitless of 40 people, he stayed in the tree and watched what they were doing. He saw them go to a boulder and saw them carrying bags as well. So interesting.
Alibaba saw the leader of the men say the phrase, open sesame. And then this big boulder moved open to reveal a cave. In this cave, all the thieves entered this cave. Thieves, dang it, the thieves actually have treasure they're putting into the cave. And he's in with all these bags, and because there's 40 of them, you can't miss 40 people. Like, it's a lot of fucking people. They all enter into the cave to put their treasure that they stole or whatever into the cave. And then once they all put their treasure in, they all come back out. And then the leader of the group comes back to close the boulder. Close the boulder, the leader, his name is Madi, he says, close sesame, close. So open sesame and close sesame. Pretty simple things to remember, I think. But you know, we'll come back to that in a minute. But yeah, so once they close the boulder, all the thieves and their leader Madi all leave. And Alibaba, let me get a spin to that because I'm poor as hell. So he goes to the cave, opens it up, takes some wrenches on it, like he takes it back with him on his donkey. Actually, he does also leave some in the nearby ditch, so like in case they need it for later on. Alibaba had a rich older brother named Kasim, who was a merchant in town. And Kasim definitely had other ideas, to say the least. Now, since they have money, Fatima, Alibaba's wife, goes into town and she asks Kasim's wife, Lena, for a balance. But like, Lena is kind of suspicious because back in the States, this is how I knew how much money you had, was using a balance. The wife of Kasim, she's kind of suspicious because she's like, what do y'all need a balance for? Y'all are poor. Y'all live paycheck to paycheck. Like, what are you using a balance for?
What did you come into? Why didn't you tell us?
She puts honey in the balance, on the balance itself, the device. And, so that way whatever they're counting will get stuck to the balance. When Fatima returns the balance, there's some coins stuck to it. And then, Lena and Kasim can see that Ali and Fatima were counting gold coins, which of course, very, very valuable. So they're like, okay, where are these fools getting gold from? Okay, nosy motherfucker that he is, Kasim pulls up to Ali's house. And he's like, hey, notice that when, you brought that balance back, there was gold on it. And I want to know, where you got that from. You need to tell me where you got it from, or I'm gonna take your gold. Which totally, again, is not fair, not cool. Especially when this brother already has money. That's the part that kind of gets me the most. My man Ali, of course, not want to lose the gold, to support his family, because he has family too. Kasim, selfish punk. So he makes a map to the cave and the boulder, and of course he gives Kasim magical phrases: open sesame, close sesame. Like, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. Open sesame and close sesame. Not me foreshadowing. Now that Kasim knows where the bags are at, literally, like, where the bag at? He literally knows where they're at now. So he goes and gets 2 horses to the cave to get some gold. He takes his horses and he's like, let's get some gold, honeys. It's time for us to get paid. So basically, once, Kasim gets into the boulder, open sesame, open, gets all that he can carry on his arms, mind you, to take way back with him to, once he has everything in his arms, you know, he like the boulder has closed behind him. So he's like, crap, how do I get out of here? And he totally is like blanking on the phrase to get out, which I don't think it'd be the same one he uses to get in. Open sesame, open sesame. He's just stuck there trying to figure out what was the phrase to open the cave. Right? What was that phrase? And again, he said, can't remember, but unluckily for him, the thieves come back. Dun dun dun.
Oh no!
They come back and they see the two arches outside and they're just like, who's in our cave? Like, someone found our cave and they're up in our cave. So each other and they're like, they're not any of our 40 of our horses, and it's like, I guess they would know. Also too, he realizes like, okay, so if we're all out here, then who's inside? Like, if we're all out here, then who's in there? Thieves didn't work this hard for nothing, okay? Best believe they are. They are getting that money.
Money, money, money. Must be funny. And it's well.
So he opens the cave to find Kasim, and he's like, okay, yeah, we don't know this man, so, you know, we can't let him live just on the fact that, like, we don't want anyone to know where our hideout is. They slash him into pieces until he's dead. And that is the end of Mr. Kasim. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
So because he's a good brother, Ali's worried because he hasn't seen Kasim since yesterday. So he goes to the cave, opens it to find Kasim sliced in 4. He takes his body and a bag of gold back to the house on his horse. Now the servant girl, Morgiana, goes to the market for a handkerchief, lozenges, and a cobbler named Baba Mustafa to sew Kasim's body back together. They wanted to proceed to have a funeral, and they wanted to make it look like he died a natural death.
Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious.
Now, Mahdi and the 40 thieves come back to the cave, and they see the body's gone, so they're like, where to go? So basically, someone else must know about their treasure, so they go to town to see who recently died and mark their house. So one of the thieves goes into town and meets Baba Mustafa, who was the cobbler, and asks him, you know, about any dust in the area, small talk. And Baba Mustafa mentions that he can sew a body back together in the moonlight, even though he's old. Now, my first thought was like, ew, the smell. What about poo? But anyways, Baba Mustafa points into the house where he sewed the body, and the thief marks the house with a white X. Morgiana, the servant girl, sees this, and she marks all the houses in the block with that same X. So when all the thieves come back to attack, they can't tell which house it is, and they kill the informant, and then they change the plan. Because they can't tell which house is which, they basically go get Baba Mustafa and have him direct him to the house, and the memory marks in his memory so that they can come back later. The leader, Mahdi himself, knows where the house is, and he memorized it in his mind. He pretends to be an olive oil salesman, and he's bringing 40 cases of olive oil to the house of Alibaba and his wife. And he's saying like, oh, I'm traveling far, and I heard there are many thieves in this area. Like, can I stay at your house for the night? Just, you know, so I can rest, and then I can go back in the morning when it's a little bit like less dark and less likely for me to get robbed, you know. So he lets them stay the night because he's like foolish and dumb. But of course, his plot is to kill Alibaba, but and all his thieves are hiding in the oil barons' cases or whatever. But Morgiana hears them talking, and she's like, hears them saying like, okay, can we come out now, master? Can we come out now? And so she, being the smart woman that she is, she actually goes and gets olive oil and pours it on all of the thieves in the jars. And they all sadly pass away. Because I mean, she's like burns hot olive oil on them too. Like that's terrible. Like that's fate worse than death, honestly. Like dead ass a fate worse than death. So then the merchant wakes up, he feels all these people are dead, and so he gets the fuck up out of there. But he does do a Hannah Montana. He comes back, and he pretends to be someone who was one of Costume's friends, who's in mourning because they never saw him before he like passed away. Blah 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 blah. And so Alibaba treats him like a regular guest, like he's cool or something, but he's not. Baba tells Morgiana to put on a performance for the guests that they have, but Morgiana's a smart bitch, so she realizes that's still Madi from the thief, the head thief. So she recognizes him and she kills him. And he's like, Alibaba's like, what the hell did you just do? And she's like, yo, this is the same guy that was trying to kill you guys yesterday. And he's like, oh, well, awesome, thank you so much. And then they live happily ever after. And they let Morgiana become like not a slave girl, just be free now. So that's nice, I guess.
For the Alibaba story, I hope you enjoyed. I really quickly want to get into the moral of the story. Basically, it's kind of like about, like, not, like, from a secular point of view. The moral of Alibaba and the 40 Thieves is, 1, to not succumb to greed. Just that greed is destructive, you know. Christianity is one of the 7 deadly sins. And of course, even if you're just like an atheist, like, you know, state of our economy here in the US is very capitalistic, and hoarding wealth, like literally, like 10% of the people in this country own like 90% of the wealth. So that's a big problem. So hoarding wealth is just like a very bad thing to do, so don't do that. Actually, with Christianity, it's considered like a failure. If you're like greedy, it's a failure of like, of loving your neighbor and showing genuine concern for other people is such a bad thing to do and such like considered like a sin. And it's like nothing, you shouldn't like idolize anything in the world, or like you shouldn't have attachment to other things in the world. Being greedy kind of puts your mind only for temporary earthly things instead of, well, not just caring about the earthly things, but also about like your spiritual life and like your eternal life. The Bible talks about the parable of the rich fool. I'm going to read a few passages of it. This is from Luke chapter 12, verse 15. Yeah, you ought to know I had own a Bible. I do. Shocker. So the verse 15 says, then he said to them, watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in abundance of possessions. Basically, this is about like a parable of a rich man who basically was planning to like harvest a lot so he could save his surpluses in like a shed or in some sort of storage place. Then if we go down to verse 20 of the same chapter, it says, but God said to him, you fool, this very night your life being demanded from you, then who will have what you prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich towards God. So basically, again, like kind of against wealth and kind of against idolatry of things of this world, and then also because of course, not all of the Arab world, but a lot of the Arab world is Muslim. There are some important passages from hadiths
in the Quran about greed.
One hadith is greed is permanent slavery, greed is destructive force, and then also that's was a quote of Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad. A man is not a believer if he fills his stomach while his neighbor is hungry. Kind of makes sense, like saying like, hey, don't hoard things, don't take too much, just take what you need or take and give to others. Pretty standard stuff, I think pretty good morals. And then I think probably one of the best morals I think you learn from this story is like to keep good company, because like you can tell there's a big difference between Kasim and then between Morgiana. Okay, because Morgiana, she's my type of chick. She came through, killed the main guy. And so, you know, even though she was like the servant girl, but she's not being like probably the most helpful person in this story. Because Kasim was the one being all greedy. Already has money, then wanted to get more money and like forgot open sesame. That's embarrassing. You had to say open sesame. That's all you had to say. You forgot that. I'll never ever get over that. I'll never ever 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 in my natural born black ass life get over that.
But yes, basically, guys, basically I want you guys to remember this. Keep it company and don't be greedy. And also, thank you so much for watching. I'm just gonna end it right here. Please let me know if you think like the look you think I did the the fancy, beautiful Arab Egyptian style. Well, I think it's not only necessarily from Egypt now, but like it reminds me of like the pharaohs and stuff.
And man, my hands were shaking. You see in the video, my hands were shaking. These lines are so hard to get, but I tried my best for y'all. So, thanks for watching again. And you have a great day, month, year. I'll see you next time, next Monday. Bye!